The security cameras would later show exactly 4 minutes and 37 seconds between the moment Larry Balmer shoved Alexia into the rain and the moment 20 black SUVs surrounded his mansion. 4 minutes. That's how long it took for a billionaire's world to end. But let me back up, because what happened that night in Seattle wasn't just about one man's cruelty. It was about power. Real power. The kind that doesn't announce itself on Forbes lists or LinkedIn profiles. The kind that moves in silence until it's already too late. Before we go any further, I need you to do something. Subscribe to this channel right now. Not because I'm asking nicely, but because what you're about to hear will make you question everything you think you know about consequences, about how the universe keeps score. And if you've ever been made to feel small by someone who thought their money made them untouchable, you need to see how this story ends. Hit that button. You'll thank me in 20 minutes. Now, back to that night.
Larry Balmer made his first billion by age 32. Semiconductor patents, government contracts, the kind of money that makes senators return your calls. He lived in a compound overlooking Puget Sound, the kind of place where the driveway alone cost more than most people's homes. 12 bedrooms, a garage that held 23 cars. And on the night of September 14th, every inch of that property was polished to perfection. Because Larry was hosting the most important meeting of his life. For 6 months, his lawyers had been negotiating a shipping deal with a Korean conglomerate. Not just any conglomerate. The Hanjin Group controlled 40% of container traffic between Asia and North America. 40%. And the man coming to finalize the deal that night was someone Larry had never met. Someone who preferred to stay out of photographs. Someone the business world only referred to as the Dragon of Seoul. Larry's staff had been preparing for a week. The caterers alone cost $60,000. Wagyu beef, Michelin-starred chef flown in from Tokyo, crystal flown in from Prague. Everything perfect, everything controlled. Except Alexia. Alexia had been Larry's wife for 3 years. They'd met at a charity gala in San Francisco, back when Larry was still building his image as a philanthropist. She was elegant, educated, stunning, a black woman with a master's degree in international relations from Georgetown. For Larry, she was the perfect accessory, proof he wasn't just another tech bro, proof he cared about diversity. But behind closed doors, Larry treated her like furniture. He mocked her family, called her degree worthless, told her she should be grateful he'd lifted her up from nothing. And Alexia, for reasons that made sense to her and no one else, stayed quiet. She played the role, smiled at his business dinners, laughed at his jokes, pretended the bruises on her arms came from clumsiness. That night, she was wearing a black Valentino gown, hair pulled back, diamond earrings Larry had given her after the last time he'd grabbed her too hard. She was standing near the bar, holding a glass of Chateau Neuf de Pape, when one of the servers bumped into her. The wine went everywhere, all over the white marble floor, all over the Persian rug, and 3 drops landed on Larry's custom Tom Ford suit. 3 drops. Larry's face changed, not slowly, instantly, like a light switch. He grabbed Alexia by the arm, his fingers digging into the exact spot that still hurt from 2 nights earlier. She gasped. He didn't care. "You are so goddamn useless," he hissed. Not quietly, loud enough that 2 servers turned around, loud enough that his assistant, David, froze near the staircase. "Do you have any idea what tonight is? Do you have any concept of how important this is?" "Larry, I'm sorry, it was an accident." "You are an accident." He was pulling her now, toward the back of the house, past the kitchen, past the staff who suddenly found reasons to look at the floor. "You are a liability. You are an embarrassment, and I am done pretending you belong in this house." He shoved open the back door. The rain was coming down hard. Seattle in September. Cold, relentless.
He pushed her outside, and she stumbled, her heels catching on the stone steps. She fell, hands out, knees hitting concrete. Larry stood in the doorway, adjusting his cufflinks. "Stay out here until you remember your place. Trash doesn't sit at the table with kings." He slammed the door. Alexia knelt there in the rain, dress soaked through, hair plastered to her face, and for the first time in 3 years, she started laughing. Not crying, laughing, because she'd finally made her decision.
Inside, Larry was in the bathroom, dabbing at the wine stain with a towel. His phone buzzed. A text from David. "They're here." Larry checked his reflection one last time. Perfect. He walked back into the main hall, where 30 guests had now arrived. Investors, lawyers, a city councilman, everyone waiting for the man of the hour. The front doors opened. 20 men in black suits entered first. Not security guards, soldiers, that's what they looked like. Each one moving with the kind of precision that comes from military training. They didn't speak, they just formed 2 lines, creating a path from the door to the center of the room. And then he walked in. Lee Chang-dong, 41 years old, black overcoat that probably cost more than Larry's car, hair slicked back, face like carved stone. He didn't smile, didn't acknowledge anyone, just walked through the hall with the kind of confidence that comes from knowing you're the most dangerous person in any room you enter. Larry stepped forward, hand extended. "Mr. Lee, welcome. It's an honor to finally—" Chang-dong walked right past him, didn't even glance in his direction, just kept walking, through the hall, through the kitchen, toward the back door. Larry stood there, hand still out, confusion spreading across his face. David looked panicked. The guests started whispering. Chang-dong opened the back door. Alexia was still kneeling in the rain, shivering. Her mascara had run down her cheeks. She looked up, expecting another insult, another command. Instead, she saw Chang-dong. He walked down the steps, into the rain, and knelt in front of her, slowly, carefully, like she was something precious. He took off his coat, custom-tailored, probably worth $50,000, and wrapped it around her shoulders. "Are you hurt?" he asked. His voice was soft, gentle, nothing like the rumors. Alexia stared at him. "What are you doing here?" "I came for a meeting, but it seems I have more important business." He helped her to her feet, took her hand, and kissed it, not performatively, not for show, like he meant it. Then he turned back toward the house, still holding her hand, and walked inside. Larry was standing in the kitchen, surrounded by his guests, trying to make sense of what was happening. When Chang-dong entered with Alexia beside him, still wrapped in that coat, the room went silent. Chang-dong looked at Larry for the first time. "You must be Mr. Balmer," he said. His English was perfect, accent barely noticeable. "I've heard a great deal about you." Larry forced a smile. "Mr. Lee, I apologize for the confusion. My wife was just—" "Your wife," Chang-dong interrupted, "is standing next to me. And before we discuss business, I need to understand something." He took a step closer. His men moved with him. "Did you put her outside, in the rain, like an animal?" The room was so quiet, you could hear the rain hitting the windows. Larry's throat went dry. "There was a misunderstanding, a small accident. I was simply—" "Answer the question." Larry looked around, at his guests, at David, at the investors who suddenly seemed very interested in their phones. "Yes," he said finally, "but you don't understand the context." Chang-dong held up one hand. Larry stopped talking immediately. "I'm going to tell you something, and I want you to listen very carefully. 3 years ago, I met Alexia in Seoul. She was there for a conference on trade policy. We spoke for 4 hours about philosophy, about power, about what it means to build something real. And when I asked if I could see her again, she told me she was engaged. To you." He paused. "She said you were brilliant, ambitious. She believed in you. So I stepped back because she'd made her choice, and I respected that." Larry's face had gone pale. "But I kept watch. Shangdong continued, because when you care about someone, you don't stop caring just because they belong to someone else. I had people check in, quietly. And for 2 years, everything seemed fine. But 6 months ago, I started hearing different reports. Reports about bruises, about isolation, about a man who thought his money made him a god. He turned to Alexia. I wanted to come sooner, but I needed to be sure you were ready to leave, that you'd made your choice. Alexia looked at Larry, then back at Shangdong. I've made it, she said. Shangdong nodded. He looked back at Larry. Here's what's going to happen. The deal you wanted, it's gone. I'm pulling out. And I'm making sure every shipping company in Asia knows why. By tomorrow morning, your logistics chain will be dead. Your investors will start asking questions, and your reputation as someone worth doing business with will be finished. Larry's hands were shaking. You can't do this. I have contracts. I have lawyers. You have nothing, Shangdong said, because you threw away the only thing in your life that mattered. You treated a queen like garbage because you were too small to recognize what you had. He turned to leave, Alexia still at his side, then stopped, looked back one more time. One more thing. If you ever come near her again, if you so much as speak her name in public, I will burn everything you've ever built to the ground, and I'll make sure you watch. They left. The 20 men followed. The SUVs pulled away. And Larry stood there in his perfect house, surrounded by people who would never take his calls again, realizing he'd just lost everything in 4 minutes and 37 seconds. By the next morning, the story had leaked, not through gossip, through deliberate, calculated exposure. Shangdong had made sure every major business outlet in 3 countries knew exactly what had happened, and he didn't hide behind lawyers or PR firms. He confirmed it himself. I ended negotiations with Larry Balmer because he abused his wife. I don't do business with men who hurt women. Ever. The fallout was immediate. 3 of Larry's board members resigned. His biggest investor pulled $200 million in funding. The mayor's office quietly canceled a development deal. And within a week, Balmer Technologies' stock had dropped 41%. Larry tried to fight back, hired a crisis management team, did an interview where he called the whole thing a misunderstanding, said Alexia was emotionally unstable, said Shangdong was using personal vendettas to manipulate markets. It didn't work. Because Shangdong didn't respond. He didn't need to. He just kept doing business, kept moving forward. And every company that wanted access to Asian markets knew exactly whose side they needed to be on. 6 months later, Larry was forced to sell his company, not for billions, for a fraction of what it was worth. The buyer? A consortium of international investors. And when the paperwork was finalized, the new CEO was announced. Alexia Balmer. Except she wasn't Alexia Balmer anymore. She'd taken back her maiden name, Alexia Renee Watkins. Larry showed up at the press conference, tried to cause a scene. Security escorted him out. Not violently, just firmly. The way you remove someone who doesn't belong. A year after that, Larry filed for bankruptcy. The mansion was seized. The cars were auctioned. He moved into a 2-bedroom apartment in Tacoma and started applying for mid-level management positions at tech startups. One of those startups was a subsidiary of Alexia's company. He didn't get the job. And Alexia? She married Shangdong in a private ceremony in Jeju Island. No press, no spectacle, just family, just the people who mattered. They built a life together. Not based on image, not based on control, based on respect, on partnership, on the understanding that power means nothing if you use it to make the people around you feel small. So here's what I want you to take from this. Look around at your life, at the people in it, at the ones who make you feel less than, at the ones who tell you you're lucky they chose you, at the ones who treat you like you're disposable. They're wrong. And the universe has a way of keeping score. Maybe not today, maybe not next week, but eventually, the people who mistake cruelty for strength will find themselves kneeling in the rain, and the ones they threw away will be standing above them, wrapped in coats that cost more than arrogance can buy. Remember that. And if you found this story worth your time, make sure you're subscribed, because the world is full of Larry Balmers who don't know they're about to meet their Changdong, and I'll be here to tell you how it ends.